Hello YouTube, De-bodgery here. Welcome to EV Components Review. On the bench is my Moto Rush logic board. After I spent 3-4 minutes manually scrubbing this board with a toothbrush and some basic solvents to clean all the grunge off of it. This is a highly trivial thing to do, and, well, Moto literally does not care enough to even bother to do what I just did. You can still see all of the components are still soldered differently. You know, the solder is not very consistent, kind of bridges up on the legs and things. It's obviously shinier, you know, clear evidence that all the parts were still replaced, but at least there's not flux everywhere. You know, I still left a little bit of residue like around this connector a little bit. You know, a little bit better washing and scrubbing. I could have easily made this a little better. Yeah, there's a little bit of residue up in there too. But yeah, most of the flux and everything is all gone now. So this looks much tidier, much neater, much cleaner. It doesn't look like some 4-year-old basically soldered some parts on there and didn't have a clue what they were doing. It looks fairly neat and tidy now. So I would consider this to be acceptably clean and would let that go. But, you know, Moto, they don't even care that much, which is why everything was still covered with flux. You know, they're just going to try to do things the cheapest way possible with the least amount of effort possible. So anyway, trivial amounts of effort with an old toothbrush to make this look pretty darn good. If you look over here at this section, the same thing. If you remember, this op amp was just absolutely grungy with flux all around it, and now it looks pretty good. There's still a little bit of residue on the top of that MOSFET driver, but still that looks pretty darn good. Most of these chips, you couldn't read them before because they were just so covered with garbage. Yeah, there's still a little bit like on that diode, but a trivial amount of effort, and I was able to clean it up like this in just a couple minutes. Yeah, a little bit of residue in here and here, but still, this is a heck of a lot better than the way I got this controller from from X, whatever they are, Moto. Again, you can see this little CAN bus chip. That looks a world of a lot better. You couldn't even read hardly the part number on top of it before. You definitely couldn't read that part number, and now you can. Yeah, this is very simple, very trivial. You've already seen this section right here. And, you know, now I've basically washed it again, so it looks about the same as it did before. In fact, I did a pretty good job on that one before, so it didn't really need much cleanup anyway. But yeah, Moto could have very easily have gone to this very trivial level of cleanup, and they didn't even bother because they simply don't care. They are probably one of the worst Chinese manufacturers that I've ever come across because their level of quality control is dismally low. Their level of concern about their customers and how shady they are and corrupt and unscrupulous and those kind of things, probably one of the worst Chinese companies I've ever worked with for all of those reasons. And you see it in cutting corners anywhere they can, including not bothering cleaning up anything. This is a trivially easy thing to do, and they can't even bother. All right, let's look at the other side of the board. Yeah, before you couldn't like read the number on the CPU, and now that is very readable. Again, it took mere seconds to clean up all of that flux. It wasn't hard at all. So you'll notice the Bluetooth module is now on top. I've soldered it down. All I did was twist the pin slightly so that it could then redirect to the side of the buzzer. The real answer to the ultimate question here is to redesign the board so the buzzer isn't in the way. But, you know, that's the Moto way. Let's just bodge things together for the lowest possible effort that we can get away with. And, you know, this would require some really insignificant realignment of some components on the board and some circuit traces to get the buzzer out of the way so the Bluetooth module could be straight. But at least now I've got it on top where it's going to do much better signal-wise. And as you can see, I have put silicone on there already to secure it in place. So this is, again, trivial stuff, but Moto can't even be bothered to do that. All right, let's flip the board over, because I have cleaned that up too. So this section I already showed you. I showed you the burn. Where a MOSFET exploded underneath here. So this section here, you've already seen it. It looks 1,000 times better than all the slop and grunge of flux on there that Moto couldn't be bothered to clean off. And now I've done this over here as well. And that resolved a couple of things I didn't notice. So I did mention this burn right there already, and now you can see there is one here as well. So yes, this board has seen something really catastrophic happen to it, i.e. the power stage that was underneath it exploded, burned out, and it left scorch marks on the board. Obvious signs that this thing was in use, catastrophic things went wrong, lots of stuff blew up, and they had to do, as a result, massive repair on here with just about everything. So once again, KO Moto, the evidence is right there. People don't trust this company. They are unscrupulous. They are dishonest. They will try anything to get money from you. Frankly, if you have a soul at all, if you have any sense of right or wrong, do not buy from KO Moto. They are a bunch of thieving liars in every possible way. Yeah, even just the flux on there, I don't care about that. It's the evidence all over the place of this logic board of repair upon repair upon repair. It is absolutely egregious the level that KO Moto goes to just cheat and lie and steal. So as you can see, this connector is also much cleaner. Still have a little bit of residue in a couple places. Oh wait, that's silicone right there. That's probably why it didn't come up. But yeah, somehow they got silicone on that connector. And it looks like a little bit right there. Yeah, that's probably what that is. Anyway, again, doesn't this look 1,000% better? You don't have all that flux cluttering up everything. This board is nice and clean now, like it should be. This took a trivial amount of effort to wash this board off, to get all the grunge off of it. And KO Moto, in their typical way, simply does not care. They just slap it out there and call it good enough and think you're too stupid to have any sense of distinguishment of what is good and what's bad. So people, God, I cannot stand KO Moto. The level of disregard for their customers is epically horrible. To sell people used and repaired products as new is just egregiously bad. Anyway, yeah, here it is. It's all cleaned up. That looks 1,000% better. It certainly exposes the multiple burns on here. Doesn't that look 1,000% better? This is at least the basic level that you should get when somebody sends you something new. The effort is spent to do some really minor cleanup that takes mere minutes to do. Yeah, this is just not hard to do. Oh, look at that. I missed around there. This is just not hard to do. And they couldn't even be bothered to go to this level. All I can say is, KO Moto, you guys suck.